Hello. My name is Kuma Obwenze, and I'm representing the Universal Village of God in Gabon. We are a Babongo Bwiti community, and I am a Ganga Nasomba in this tradition of Miobe Bwiti from Central West Africa. So here I am in this capacity in the Western world, in a position here in Costa Rica as a Western outreach for communication and education of the principles of reconciliation of God in self, in Bwiti, in our tradition. And first and foremost today we'll introduce those things in brief, as I always do, so people know who they're talking to with me. But really, we'd like to say our tradition here is about, to start this way, Bwiti is about unity, brotherhood of man. And that begins with the reconciliation of God himself. So many people can draw comparisons, if they will, to Eastern philosophies such as Buddhism and various forms and Vedic sciences. Any of the great megalithic traditions all the way through to the modern metaphysical ones all shared the principles of unity and brotherhood of man. So really it's about the sovereignty of the individual, which is what Bwiti exists for, and its tool to this connection of reconciliation of God himself that surpasses and transcends all of our supposed drives and motivations to heal, is based on the tool Iboga. Now Iboga is not, although it's categorized as such because of the modern Western pharmacological and medicalized approach to indigenous affairs and plants in general, it is not a plant medicine. The plant Iboga only ever appeared endemically at the center of the earth today. So behind me you see the medicine wheel. If people are in the northern hemisphere, they'll understand that. That is the Eucharist cross, and it delineates the intersection of the meridian and the equator. And that is the dead center today, which is Gabon, the home of Bwiti and Iboga. So the very position of the country is delineating unity and brotherhood of man. And this is why we find the tradition of Bwiti in this place, and why we only ever found the plant Iboga growing on that place. Because Iboga grows in that place because it has two qualities. And I should say, no, let's get this the other way around. The reason why it appears there with its qualities are because of the center of the earth. So it appears with masculine and feminine properties. And it works in unity. So it works with both the root and the crown. Iboga. It's a unified process, a harmonizer. And here I hope in this talk that I can get people to transcend perhaps what my motivation is to talk to you, because when we're used to using social media platforms and modern algorithms that are used this way, we tend, if we watch our consciousness, we're in the back going, oh, here's another guy just telling me stories, right? So for those that want to hang on and truly be challenged and perhaps start to learn why I'm here and what we are, and there's some people listening to us that understand this. So my motivation is the principles of which I'm introducing to you. A unity and brotherhood of man. In other words, I'm already reconciled with what that God image is in self, in Bwiti, according to our tradition. We are equivalent to a Buddhist monastery in the way we live. Monastically. We are not motivated by money. That's the number one divisive element that keeps everyone in slavery today. So as I've said often with others that are interested in looking towards Iboga or any plant medicine or any healing modality at all, I challenge everyone to see whether anyone has done any work for free, helped humanity for free. For the last 3 years we've been here, zero profit, every cent returned to the originating marginalized force of the First Nations people of the Babongo Pygmies, and to the extension of our village Mboka Nazambe and its social reform hospital. That place is a place of of huge reconciliation and compassion and love, where we embody the Christ drama completely. No one is turned away at the door. Severe mental illness, all the way through to severe physical ailments where they've been rejected by modern medicinal fraternities because of impoverishment, our lower socioeconomic position. We take them, we reform them through our powerful, connected, free of agenda process of using God's nature, because it takes an individual such as someone in heavily enveloped in Bwiti who's completely understanding of that reconciliation of God himself. What I mean by that is they understand that everything that comes from them creates their external world. There isn't any external world. This is what I need to tell people. You need to turn inward. There is no external world. Now you can sit on that and think about that and work that out and use references and metaphors all you like. But all I'm asking for people today is to listen without translating what I'm saying. Listen and feel what I'm saying, where I'm coming from. It's a completely different way to deliver a message. I'm coming here not to exert an opinion. I don't do opinions. I only talk the things that I live. I only talk the things that I know to be true. And everyone listening to this will know that the world killing itself, murdering, raping, pillaging, you being angry at people in the traffic, you being angry at your family, you being angry at your partner, is all incorrect. All of it. If you are in conflict with anything, you are at fault. Not the person you're angry at. They have nothing to do with you. And this is where we're going to heal, and where I'm going from in this launching here. I serve my King's will on my knees at this part of the West. Although we might seem like a retreat center and we might seem like someone selling Iboga, that's only because I have to use the modern algorithms of Google and everything else for people to register and go, okay, I need to do this. We need to advertise ourselves in the modern world as ancients. So I need to dispel any of this, what is discordance for us, any of this perception when we're coming there that this person is a retreat center and he's trying to sell something. Quite on the contrary, people have to be interviewed and screamed to receive the privilege of the learning here. For we will not take someone who does not have cultural sensitivity or the true understanding and want to heal their heart. That includes people who are seeking and just generally seeking and accumulating. They're not for this place either. Not at all. This is for true healing where everything stops. This is for where you come in, discover, oh my God, all my seeking's been an illusion. I'm ready to sit down and be at peace with everyone and everything. Everything. And I'm talking from someone who is that. And that's not a comment made on arrogance. So let's get that out of the way. I'm telling you, I only say what I do. Everything you can think of, I'm completely at peace with. I do not think of it. I do not chase it. I do not rectify it. I do not repair it. I have 100% compassion for every single human being on the planet because it's become who I am and I have no choice. So this is why I'm appealing to people to understand that a true healer must be this. Now, if everyone has experience on here, you know, with other plant medicine or yoga or everything, have a look at who's offering these things and have a look at the dual life they're living. Unless they're a monk or like us in Bwiti, they have motivations. They have children at home. They have a husband at home. In other words, they need money to pay for their lifestyle that's modern. They have a new Mercedes or they have a new car. The kid likes to go skiing. I'm not excluding these people from the ability to heal, but that's not a healer, you see, because you cannot be a healer when you are trying to give people freedom and liberation whilst here you are enslaved to materials. Please listen. Everyone listen to that. Can we hear that? Your healers that offer you this, and I'm really calling them out right now, are all full of it. Period. They're not in a position to offer you anything. You go home with superficial changes, let's be honest. With whatever healing you've gone, you might be listening to this saying, well, hang on, I've had good changes. Yeah, but are you fixed? No, because if you're listening to me online, you're not. I'm not interested in a dual life. There's no way I could be in front of you on this. It'd be the height of arrogance. And this is what we see everywhere. For me to tell or be advising anything to anyone without actually living the principles of which I'm talking. That's out of control. And that's the world we live in because of the ideation. Everyone lives in ideas. If they lived in action and truly knew that we were one another, they'd stop reacting and capitalizing on someone else's misfortune in an effort to escape their uncomfortable position in life, which is 101 modern plant medicine healers. They're all on the run. So I'm here to show that the importance of true Iboga cannot be of that ilk. And that's very important. So our place of living, Mboka na Zambe, and our extension here at Ikara in Costa Rica, which is the Western Outreach and Education Center, it's a spiritual hospital. We have the ancient protocols in place, unbroken. And the sad reality that we face every day is that there's no longer any authentic Bwiti outlets outside of Mboka, and that's a tragedy. When you live on that side and you live here, we know the power of our spirituality and our tools. But we cannot have enough volume to assist people en masse because of this disjointed, watered down and diluted offering of Bwiti existing in the West. Money is involved, you see. When money is involved, what happens is people start to extort in a colonial fashion like their forefathers once did. They start to extort the plants from these indigenous perspectives and think not one thing of it. What they think is, I'm making some money, I'm getting healed, I'm all good, I'm going to pat my kid on the head and he's all good. But not think about the fact that you've just enslaved 1,000 Babongo pygmies. So my message here is, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to show people the truth. Your healers need to be actually standing in complete truth, where they've renounced everything. The modern world, their want for materials, all of that's got to go. They cannot live a contradictory life. So you look at your healer and he's a painter here and he's doing this on the weekend. No, that doesn't exist. That cannot be Bwiti. I will never be allowed to be a Gangana Somber in the true tradition here in front of you if I wasn't completely enveloped. And it is my entire life. So much so that when I'm talking to you, I am talking my life. That's all I am. I'm not projecting, I'm not thinking, I'm not ideating, I'm not trying to convince. I'm present. I talk in channel. I don't prepare. So to me, I can't even predict what the next sentence is going to be. I have no idea. This is truth. That's the ability that every man and woman has, and that's the ability that I want to impart if people are interested through the true tradition. I want them to learn that. It's the height of importance that people learn their Godhead, that we are equal. We will never be equal until everyone knows their God. And the problem is this inequality is all of our doing. Because we're constantly using ideas to create things. We're constantly using thinking. We don't understand that what we say becomes. We hear it as a pretty line that I'm saying right now, or we might read it in an Eckhart Tolle book. Or we might read it in a nice little meme on Instagram. It makes me feel good for 5 minutes, and then I can turn off and go and get up to mischief down the road. And then when someone confronts you, you use it as an idea. Oh, yeah, I know that. I know to be a good guy. You know, this is what's going on in the leftist movement. Wokeness is nothing more than repeating and plagiarizing information with no basis or understanding or even idea that it's real. It's a complete farcical thing. So we're the antithesis of that here. We're offering free education, free connection, and an abundance of energy, of purity for the neophyte, which is a student or a patient, to arrive at something like this and experience a completely new paradigm. Something that's removed of nonsense. Nonsense being this constant ideation of things. This is this is that. The number one rules with true Bwiti and Iboga is we follow God. God is indefinable and cannot be defined. To understand God, we must listen. And that's how we realize we are it. To use ideas is to sign our power outside of ourselves, you see. Think of this. You say to someone, oh, you're a bad guy. Now you are a slave to that comment. and apply that to everything you look at. So yes, be very careful with what you say, except no one can bite their tongue. In the mind, I mean. They can bite it here and pretend and smile with a bated breath. In here, the mind's just going nuts, throwing bullshit out there with opinions on everything. And they wonder why they're depressed and anxious and everything else. You're creating your own anxiety. You're creating your own depression. Depression being of the past, anxiety of the future. You just skipping go. Depression is based on the past, and then you project it in the future and it becomes anxiety, right? We're about presence. In presence you're safe, in the impermanency. But people that are living in the ideation of forward and back, very scared of presence. You watch your own psychology, talking from experience here, you watch your own psychology, very scared to go quiet, because you think the mind's going to die. What if I can't think? I have to do this. You want to control everything. And I'm not having a critique on people. I'm actually desperately trying to get people to give themselves an ability to change, because this is a huge sickness. People come to me here and think that they have a problem outside of the one true problem, which is what I just said. They're all the same. They could be addicted to crack, or they could be here because they're depressed. The fact is they're all living in this non-present moment. I only see what you are, and that's presence. So I don't really care about what you think you're doing left and right. Right? That's why I don't judge, because it'd blind me from what others are, and I am you. So why would I blind myself to myself? So this is the power of true Bwiti and Iboga. Why there's great efficacy at somewhere here like Iboga and Zambia, Costa Rica, is because of the depth of knowledge and devotion to God. Not because Iboga works on the neural plasticity and, accelerates your heart rate and all this stuff. No, that's just scientific diatribe. Yeah, we can refer to that, but that's not what Iboga does. It's not. Iboga is spiritual. Iboga brings the soul into the body, the higher dimension, the higher self, and changes the whole state of being, of perspective. And from that perspective, which is the soul during that time, you are able to review in a different way what is the ego consciousness. And it's trying to impart to you, do you see how you keep saying this and it's you doing it? That's it. The soul's saying, it gives you a chance. You get on the soul phone, it comes and goes, okay, you've been doing all of this. There's no escape. And that's why it's very important that people that are interested in Iboga hear the things I'm saying. Because there's no sugarcoating here. If we want true healing from something like Iboga, we must be ready to drop everything. You will never heal with anything at all, including Iboga, if you're coming in with ideas of Iboga. People might be confused at that. Listen, that's only going to lead you towards not hearing God, because thought is not God. And that's why people get these temporary results where they are healed for a year with Iboga and come to me later. It wears off because they didn't understand. You're welcome. No problems. Thanks for joining in. People didn't understand what, or were educated when they came to something like Iboga through the ancient protocols of how to deal with this, right? It's how to deal with themselves. So we are a community-based education center for what we do. I'm offering my time here not because I'm trying to sell anything. Once again, it wouldn't be worth it. There's no amount of money that could pay for this energy. This is God's energy. We don't sell that shit. It's bullshit. Right? I'm here in an eternal spring of information as an example to people who are interested that you can obtain an eternal spring of energy. Not this energy that you live on conflict, where you actually have something really low and then you have a good day and a low and have a good day. That's all conflict based. That's all idea based. Right? You're creating it. You have a good day and the bad day happens because the good day stops. And you said that was a good day. And I love that day and I wish I could be that day every day. And what happens the next time? Right? Okay, thank you. So what happens then? But you're creating that. It doesn't exist. And that's what I'm trying to educate people on. If they want to listen, of course, you have to listen. I'm no better or worse or anything from you. In fact, you need to see me as the same. Just like I'm seeing my image in this video as I talk to you, I'm the same as that, right? That image is me. I know it as me. So when I'm looking at you, why don't I think it's you? Why don't I think it's me? Why is that? Everybody think about that. It's you. If I'm looking at you, one of you now in the video, it's me. It's my perception of it. It's my vision of it. It's my cells interpreting it. Everyone else looking at that, it's my whole genetic makeup of electricity interpreting and creating and reprojecting your image. And that happens in between us with everyone else. So everyone else looking at you has a different version of you as well. It's not that complicated. People like to, talk about quantum physics and everything else. I mean, I've never needed to do any of that when I've known spiritually these things. These things are your heritage. You don't need a book. After all the great physicists of our time that created these theories dreamt them. There you go. So it's spirituality or nothing. True Bwiti, true Iboga has stronger outcomes of becoming for the individual, the patient, when it's delivered with 100% purity. According to someone like King Adamangana, my spiritual father, the last of his kind, the one who still contains the unbroken knowledge of Bwiti. The ones you see in the West here, I've said it many times, Asengidio or Gonde Nadapuma based, are fetish-based Bwiti. They're colonial impacted. They're more about divination and trying to come outcomes, and they're obsessed with money, and they use bones and necromancy to influence outcomes and people. It's all witchcraft based. And the people providing here in the West somehow don't know that, or they do. I'm not sure. All I know is that's something that us in pure Bwiti here we stay well away from. To us it's highly spiritually dangerous, and I see the effects here because I reform many from those retreat centers here. They come to me after having a Iboga elsewhere. Now in the first few hours of me ingesting and practicing our ancient practices, I see in them the energy that they've taken from those places. And it's unclean, and that's because the person offering is practicing a bad form. They have a bad teacher who's put energy into them and they're not aware. And they're living a dual life of not monastic. It's all about retreat space and making money. Right? So they dress up for you when you arrive. That's it. Right? There's no living Bwiti. So we're more about educating the individual so they can go home and be stronger people in their relative paradigms. So if you're a teacher, you need to go back and accept that space and accept the colleagues you don't like and don't talk to, and accept the children that are pains in the ass, and accept everything, every last thing, to improve the environment of which you've left in tatters. And you think it's someone else. No. Your environment at work that you don't like, or even if you're bullied, you're creating it. You're creating it. It hurts to hear this, but you need to understand. So I'm about people coming here, seeing that light, going strong. And we have this 100% of the time, mind you. Not a claim, reality. People go home into that relative environment and accept it for what it is, and peace becomes of them. And the relationship changes when they become peaceful and stop projecting on others. Right? And all of a sudden you're having this incredible situation with someone that you didn't like. We know these feelings from school when we're having arguments, and then our friends became best friends. Or our enemies became best friends. But when we're adults, we're more cynical and more hard. Children are pliable and innocent. And the only truth, and this is where I'm going to go with this here, is innocence. So even in my tone and delivery now, let's not mistake innocence for a soft thing. Right? I'm talking 100% innocently because I have no motivation other than the individual becoming that innocence. Meaning the innocence cannot exist when you're having ideas of everyone on everything else. We need fresh eyes to look upon the world. So someone's yelling and screaming at you there. True Iboga, after the learning, is you're meant to sit and look at them and think, okay, I'm going to turn my back on that and I'm going to come back. The moment that you react, you've created division. You did that. The person that actually was angry did nothing. They're angry. But the one that's responsible in that moment is the one that should not react. That would change that person. You know that. They might not change as you want them straight away, and that's not your right either. You're meant to actually just accept them, walk away. So what? They're nothing to do with you. Get out of their life. Leave them alone. They'll learn faster that way than you getting in a fight. And this is not what anyone listening here on this platform was actually introduced to as a child. I certainly wasn't. Everything was a fight. Everything. It's just the parenting model is complete rubbish. There is no parent on the planet that is doing the exact job and will of God with their children. There's none. It's not a controversial topic. There's none. They leave their problems on you. That's why it's very important that before we have children, we understand that we don't have any problems. You need to be exemplary and rigorous and quiet to create an unconditional environment of innocence for the child. And their maturity should be as per nature. Not this socially impacted acceleration of sexual promiscuity and sexualization. And that's another topic. The thing is innocence is the highest valued principle for enlightenment. A child is far more enlightened than the cynical, disrupted, and degrading adult. But you can turn that around and develop that innocence that your dog has or your child has. The dog is a great example of this as well. The love that it exudes to you unwittingly, all of the time, consistently, constant. For you to be with God means you must be constant 100% of the time. Not tonight and then I'm having a bad day. That's not a man of God. Until you can actually sit and be this constant cadence like I am doing all of the time, underwater, any night of the week, you're not with God as much as you need to be. So these are challenges for everyone. And the beginning of these challenges and meeting them and learning what your challenge is these strong protocols of Bwiti and Iboga. The true delivery. Forget everything that you've read online. Number one, anyone that's on here now and you've read things on Iboga online, I'm just going to unequivocally say right across the board, no discrimination. It's all bullshit. There you go. I don't really care what anyone thinks about that. I'm telling you the truth. That's not the spiritual knowledge that we work with in Africa. It's not. What that is a westernized, dogmatic rhetoric for you to be sold the idea so you go for your particular reasons. It's like advertising a pharmaceutical, right? Oh, it's really good at this. It'll improve that. It'll do that. No learning will ever come of that. So you can study that all you want, but until you come somewhere here, like this, or our village, you won't understand true Iboga. Those things only produce those outcomes. So someone, to explain this, someone's going there and has intentions to achieve a better life with Iboga in terms of their work position. So they want to change their job. So they go to Iboga for that, and what happens is God comes in through the Iboga and says, no, I'm not giving that, I'm doing this. And then you get upset. But you created that. You see what I mean? So you must not arrive at Iboga, and these people are allowing you, if this makes sense to all you now, what I'm saying, they're allowing you, the Western information's allowing you to make those conclusions, which will never yield the result or true message of Iboga. Never. It doesn't. I fix people's situations here every week. Because they've been defined and told that it does these things. And that reduces your responsibility and accountability and true knowledge of what we're trying to achieve at Iboga, which is your God, and your mind controls your ailments and you create everything. It's assigning your power outside of yourself when you define. Do we see? This is not what true spiritual healers do, and will never do such. We must keep the Western mind clean and accepting. They must learn. The Western mind wants to control all situations. I see it all the time here. And this is where I work very strongly with people with this. No learning will come of that. If I were to let that person do that constantly with no calibration, well, what'll happen? They'll go home and it'll go away for a while. Iboga will work for a while, but it'll come back. So then, this is what the Bwiti spiritualism is about, is giving education around the process of Iboga and knowing how to keep that alive, bringing more and more awareness into the self, more and more capacity and ability to actually be attentive to everything, sound, shapes, movements, everything at once, without reaction. From there, we can learn to be God in self. And we can be unflappable, exemplary, rigorous, strong, innocent, loving, compassionate, passionate, as you'll hear my tone here, complete, unbridled passion, beyond my control. It's who I am. I'm not trying to do anything. It's who I am. It's the voice of God. Everyone deserves that. If you had this level of passion for anything in your life, you wouldn't be sick. People use me as an example. You would not be sick if you had this level of passion. And you do. That's what I'm saying. You all do. But this is the secret. And you can learn this with Iboga. The passion that you obtain is from conflict. Let me explain. You're an artist. Nothing's happening. You got artist block. You can't paint anything. But life's really amazing right then. And then all of a sudden you have a depressive wave. And all of a sudden you can paint. That's controlled and motivated by pain. So you're using conflicting energy of a positive and negative. So two short circuits come together and that inspires you, and you use that energy to create your art. But then what happens when that energy runs out, because it will, you're low again. You see, and that cycle never stops. So if you to learn this passion, it's when you stop using conflict by projecting images and ideas and reacting to negatives, and you stop. When you sit in presence permanently, this is the cadence. It never stops. That's the eternal youth. That's the fountain of youth, is metaphorically used in biblical tales. It's not some mystical chalice somewhere and water. No, it's not. There's not a fountain of youth. The fountain of youth is a reference to the person who's discovered the non-dual approach to God and sits quietly and is given eternal energy. And that's an amazing concept for everyone to consider. You can explore all these things for yourself, and I actually ask anyone listening to, if they want to create a dialogue, feel free to ask questions, because I'm here to answer them and we can talk. And you might say, what about this? And I'll say, okay, what about this? So this is a dialogue. When I go along too much like this, the impressions of others as the energy takes over is that somehow they're on the receiving end all the time. But that's your impression, not mine. So I will continue. But feel free if you need to ask me any questions. And people that missed perhaps the first part of this video, just to recap, this Bwiti, according to Mboka Nzambe in Gabon, which is Babongo based, which the Babongo Pygmies originate this tradition, the oldest DNA on the planet. So we are here in an effort to bring the knowledge of God Himself to you with our strong, ancient, unified protocols. And whilst doing that, we're returning every single living cent to the people who originate the tradition, and our projects of indigenous reconciliation and hospitalization, spiritual hospitalization for people that are destitute and in problems. So we're here to serve, and I serve my spiritual father, King Adamangana. I'm here serving his will. These are his words. Okay, so I only ever talk his words. I answer to him, and I answer to our village and my brothers and sisters. So I'm not here as an authority of someone who's just selling Iboga, right? Okay, so that's nothing to do with me. I want people to thank you. I want people to, if they wish, I mean, when I say I want, I don't want to sound like I'm demanding. I'm saying I would wish that people would listen carefully and really explore for themselves, because I'm trying to excite things within you. You know, I'm appealing to not so much you as the person you think you are. I talk soul to soul. So I'm saying these things so maybe the soul later goes, you know, and then you can start talking to me anytime. Muy bien, diga. Otimoi. Oda kenge. So I would want people to just to answer your question, Gabriella, sorry, before I lose that. Can I say how Iboga can help someone with addiction? Yes, I can. And I'm obviously always going to give the spiritual aspects of Iboga and the protocols of Myobe Bwiti. So, so how this works is Iboga, if we're just looking at Iboga on its own, Iboga brings in the soul and the spirit into your body when you ingest Iboga. And that brings observance to the self. Now when the self has this observance, hey Dan, how you doing? Good to see you. How this works is you now have the capacity to review yourself. You're given this as far, I can't give you your personal experience. That's what it is. It's an experiential situation. But when you're in this situation, you're able to see what you've been doing. Now, with the right education in terms of the spiritual mentoring of Ganga, then you can hear what you need to do. Now, whilst this is happening, the physical organism is also being cleaned. So to refer to the scientific side here, the neuroplasticity of the brain is improved and accelerated through the electrical connection of God, which is Iboga. Now what happens is it rewrites and pulls apart and rewires, if you will, the body in such a way that it resonates and vibrates with the frequency of what is nature and God. Now in that there's a non-dual approach, and this is where the ability to observe improves. So all of a sudden that knocking out gives an ability and a strength for the person to have some fresh air and look at where they're reacting for their habit. So if they're addicted to drugs, for instance, they're able to automatically, without even realizing it themselves, look and say, okay, I can see what's going on here. I've been reacting to this and I don't have to react to that. So I know that these concepts I'm giving you now, perhaps that's all they are. It must be experiential, but 100% of the time people have this realization, and that is there, the inexplainable and non-definable or indefinable exercise of God in self. That's what's happening. Your higher self is receiving you and squeezing out these elements that are controlling you, where you're assigning your power outside of the self, and giving you the ability to mirror and see where you've been reacting. And that's pretty much the process of Iboga in brief for everybody. So people report all sorts of insights during the time, of course. Like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much I think at home, for instance, right? Many people say that. And they learn to actually observe that. And that power of non-attachment, they actually learn an ability to not attach to those things because they're neurally heightened as well, and they have this capacity. And with the education from a mentor, they're going to be able to actually get on top of these reactions, because our problems come from where we react. If we react, we've just engaged in something that really doesn't exist and it's nebulous. You might say, oh, hang on, someone's yelling at me, that exists. Yeah, but I need you to look at something more closely. Does it exist? And before you say it is anything. Do you see what I mean? So the guy's yelling. It doesn't mean anything to someone like me, because I don't project an image upon it. So it doesn't exist. You see, this is what the great yogic sages were saying to you, and you were getting confused going, oh my God, they reckon problems don't exist? Yeah, exactly. I'm saying they don't. They do in your mind. And you are. Mind is what's projecting the image upon another. You are one another. Everything is you. Every individual that's on this line, it's all you. It's not me. I've got my own you. So we're in this incredible gift from God that can never be felt with its resonance until the conflicted mind is dissolved into non-dual behavior. And this is the great efficacy of Iboga through the spiritual guidance of Bwiti, this is where we make huge changes and gains. And this is for everybody. This is for everybody. Iboga is not for addiction interruption. I'll just go back, Gabriella, to address this too. Whilst it works for addiction, we must realize something. The Western world lives by habit. So the hours we train, for instance, we might be healthy and we train at this hour. That's a habit. We eat this type of food. We weigh our food at this hour. We do this, we do that. That's all control. All control. And whilst they might be positive, more positive than the person taking the drugs, they develop patterns neurally where the person relies on them so heavily that when they can't do that, they fear. You get frightened, right? Can everyone feel this? When you don't get your pattern, you're like, oh no, fuck, or you feel guilty or something. So what I'm saying is that's doing more damage than you realize. And that little action there is why people end up heavily addicted to something else. Because you're actually assigning your power away. And when you do that, you're now divided and you can't see the forest from the trees, that you actually created the division. Now you've thrown your power away. Anything, for me, anything, anyone here with any habit, and everyone's got habits, to me, I don't judge or adjudicate or define. You know that? I look at everyone else and say they're all the same. Crack or over-exercise. Same thing. Because I see the magnitude of effect of habitual thinking. So people would say, well, what's the alternative? That's right. This is what you're here to discover with Iboga and Bwiti. The alternative is finding something so magnificent that nothing I could ever say to any of you will make any sense, because it must be experienced by you. But for these people, I used to be fascinated by all of these great monks and sages all around me and people I was reading, but I could never perceive what they perceive because I wasn't yet in that space of complete non-duality and quietness. And then all of a sudden you've got something magnificent where there's no choices. Zero choices. And I know everyone listening here to go, you're making a choice to be on the phone right now. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. And people have to think about that too. What do I mean by that? You see, I'm acting without an idea on things. And when you can do that, you'll see that there isn't a choice. You'll be guided into all of the necessary things with this amount of passion constantly. This is everyone's heritage online. And I really, really will not ever downplay the privilege that I have to actually have this platform to reorientate these ancient speaking. That's why I will never say these platforms are bad or evil or social media is terrible. Nothing is. Because I'm reorientating what that is, bringing an ancient message to people. And I really thank everyone listening here. If anyone's hanging on and been listening to me, you get 5 stars. Like I really thank you, because I do not expect that. It's not why I do it. I'm hoping for that one person to go, oh, hang on. I can do that at home. And I can show huge amounts of love to everyone that's ever done me wrong. I can turn the whole planet around into one big ball of love by being still, quiet, and showing my true power, which is I am God. We're all equal. We will never build a pyramid ever again until everyone gets this into here like I live and my wife lives. I'm waiting for someone to come to that door that's got this, that can do this. I feel a gift from God all the time. I give my service on my knees to my King in the village because of what I've been gifted. And this great knowledge. And that's knowledge of not of information. So let's not, what I'm saying to you is just words, okay? At the end of the day, your true spirit is not hearing the words. It's hearing my intent, and that's where I'm comfortable. So I care little for your actual superficial ego response to me at the end of the day. I'm appealing to something else with your inside, with your soul. I'm appealing to this depth inside you, this ability that you have to turn it around. Can't we ever imagine peace on earth? You go home to your environment after something like this education in Iboga, and you go into your immediate environment, and people do this. There's people online that are listening right now that have done this, and you have this trigger, and someone comes up and they argue and they yell at you and stuff like this, and you just stand there, you know. And actually there's someone listening right now, which is my dear friend and kickboxing coach back from Australia, And really where I started to burgeon into this behavior now was through that. That martial art there and being with that person there really, really, really taught me some things. I already knew, but it burgeoned into this. That was the beginning of this result, because that was just before I moved here and everything happened as it had in the last 4 years. So I really appreciate it, Dan. If you're still listening, I really appreciate everything, our interactions, and I am coming back to Australia in December, and hopefully I can visit the area and say g'day. And you're always welcome here as well, brother, every time. You know that. When you want to pack up and have a holiday or whatever, we're here, right? On the house, of course. So, really, I want to extend the thanks again, and I want to encourage people to ask about Bwiti and Iboga, not because we want to convert people to Bwiti and Iboga. Let's get that out of the way. In case people are thinking that, I need to talk this way in the West now, because people do tend to, our Western mind's very dominated and influenced, so it tends to think people are exerting pressures on them. I'm just offering an ability to actually come and experience something without being expected to follow these processes. I'm not trying to tell anyone to follow any of these processes. I'm getting you to come in and use these protocols and see their power. Because 100% of the people that come here, they go home with the benefits of here and just be a better yogi. You know, the idea, or a better indigenous woman or man, and we've treated many indigenous. And that's what we're really about. Come and use our strong system, not system, that's incorrect. Protocols, okay, lack of better terms. These things, come and experience them, see how your mind becomes God, and then you'll know your true cultural diversity and expression. Until the mind goes quiet and non-dual and non-projecting and completely turned in, we can't be stable. We're always going to be on a healing journey. By the way, here with the Iboga and Bwiti, we don't believe in that. You don't need a healing journey. What you need is to reconcile with God himself very quickly. Because that's the problem. The problem actually all people are doing at the moment, I treat a lot here like that, it's starting to worry me a little bit, is they've been on a plant medicine healing journey for the last 10 years or 5 years. And are more sick than they were when I first spoke to them at times 2 years before on the phone. That's because they're not educated. There's no true indigenous knowledge intact. There's no true healer doing it with complete non-motivation, other than the patient discovering God. For free, in other words, doing all the work for free. I call people out all the time. Anyone selling you any plant medicine out there, I challenge them all. I'll say it a million times. To me, it's quite comical. How ready are you to do your next 3 years for free, huh? How many? No. So that's division right there. Iboga and Bwiti is about wholeness. If you and I need one another, that's division. You see? And the person that's healing you then is a divided man. He can't bring you to wholeness, which the plant demands. So, you know, these things are escaping everyone's attention. And, oh, he's well intended, he's indigenous, he's 10th generation. Yeah, but go and see what he does after you leave the retreat and see where the money went. And there'll always be some smokescreen. Oh, we sent it back to our village and the village, you know, did this and that. But look, a true healer, if we want to call ourselves that, I'm very reluctant to do that. I'm just trying to use this. I don't know. I don't like titles. But the point is sorry, I got distracted. Kaylee asked me a question. But can the plant regardless of the shaman? Sorry, you'll have to rejig me on that. Can it do what? Can it do the healing on its own, perhaps you're saying? No. No, and that's what I'm saying here. So what I mean by that is I treat hundreds of people here that have been to other places, right? So when you're a healer in this frame and you're living in the ancient mind, it's easy to see the effects of that person where they were at before. I can tell, I can see the looseness of delivery. The Iboga is very powerful. So if you're giving a plant with a dirty hand, so your mind is, oh, I need to get all these people, I've got to get up tomorrow, I'm angry, I'm tired, I need to do this with the kids. And they're giving you medicine, no. It'll give an effect for a while, but it won't give this thrusted ability of education and knowledge and a thirst to ask questions and a thirst to expand and be a better person overall. So this is pretty much sadly dependent on these results we're talking about, and this level of education is unbroken protocol of Bwiti, which is the Ganga serves the medicine, and the Ganga must be exemplary and quiet and proven and gone through his initiatic rites, which are earned over sometimes many years, and living amongst the community and living monastically, living much like Amish in the States, and living, you know, of the land and using his hands and learning nature, because he must imbibe and take on the frequencies of his environment and the plants which he ingests all of the time. And we all should know that our electronic fields and our electrons are always donating. So if someone's full of these things I just said, so he's become a Iboga, he ingests the Iboga twice a day, he uses all the plants, he practices all these things, when you come in contact with him, your frequency changes. The electrons that are being donated, regardless of who the two people are actually influencing one another. That's another way to look at it biologically or physics-wise. So you're very important who you're around. In other words, we have to be really careful around, if we're not strong and yet strong, be careful with who we're hanging around with. We know that, right? We hear that all the time. We feel bad energy from people, but we continually do these things. And that's where we need a bit of bravery and courage, which this practice of Bwiti and Iboga can deliver to an individual. So once again, for people who were listening in the last, I don't know how long, 20, 30 minutes, feel free, the video will go up on the Instagram page so you can watch the beginning, which postulates a kind of direction to where we are right now in the moment. And I thank everyone for listening. I really do. I really feel a privilege and gratitude. I do. I am trying to, I'm embodying what I feel that people have inside themselves. I want them, humanity, it's about humanity. That's what it is. Iboga and Bwiti is about humanity. And anything else, just to put simply before we wrap, anything other than that perspective is abuse of Bwiti and Iboga. Pretty simple. Dramatic claim, deep truth. We're actually here to actually create the ability for others to create peace on earth, starting with peace inside. So may Zambekana shine his light on everyone today. All of us. Turn inward and feel the light. That's where it all is. Don't react to negatives. Don't react. Try harder. Try harder. It's a long road. Yes, do not react to negatives. You'll keep staying in the loop. They'll never go away. They'll go away in the afternoon because they dip away and they'll come back the next day. Well, we know how this works. Try a different way. Walk lightly with the self. It's all about you. Stop projecting and worrying around the people around outside you, because doing that, you can't see what I'm saying and you can't become peaceful and affect those others positively. So I implore everybody to turn in on your grace, your love, your peace, your Godhead in self, and become that quietness. And if anyone is interested in discovering and becoming more of who they really are, and feel that they're resonating with what they've heard, and are ready, just know that this, regardless of what you read online, this is not about treating sickness. Everyone's sick, if we're going to talk about that. It's about discovering a connection in self that is right there and you sense every day on your good days but can't access. It's the last little key in the lock, right? To develop, to bring that Godhead inside, and then go back to all your relative things. Work, sports, whatever it is. Love everything. Love the gifts we're given all around us. Even modern man's technologies. Respect them. Love them. Treat them how they are. Don't project upon them. Don't be compelled by government forces to argue for and against with any topic. Do not get into conflict and stay in the light. Much love, everybody. Feel free to go and check the front of this video. I'm sorry for the person who just joined now. I'm about to wrap here. But please, this will go up on Instagram, and I would encourage you to watch because there's some very, very interesting perspectives on here, I'm sure, for everybody. You won't hear this type of thing in the West. And this is a shame, because I'm hoping for more people to come to these. The only truth is that everything's you. There's no other higher truth. Everything else is pulling you away from your Godhead. So please, everyone, move towards light.